have the kids explain what they did, but I accompanied as a chaperone during this trip. So we had all the boys in one room and all the girls with female chaperones in one room. So if you have grew up in India and you lived in a hostel with all the beds in one room, that's the same lodging experience the kids had. And actually, surprisingly for me, they had a lot of fun, sometimes a bit too much fun. We had to tell them to quiet down at night sometimes. So overall, even though I grew up in India, I didn't get exposed to this intricate complexities and challenges in rural villages. So it was eye-opening for me to know how the structure worked. So we learned, like in theory, how it works, like gram panchayats, wards, mahila mandals, and then how the challenges that they have and how they're resolving them. So kids get to do it in action. They learned in theory and then they went out, did the service and did it in action. So along with that, we also, I'm sure they will be explaining. So they did a lot of services every day. We visited around 10 villages. We heard several touching stories and some of them brought tears to our eyes. For example, there was a woman, she lost her husband, mother-in-law and father-in-law all within the same year. And she is left with 2 young children. She did go to school and she doesn't really know much other than cooking in her kitchen. So court came to her rescue and they trained her how to do farming effectively, how to secure cows and do dairy business, and also how to learn sewing so she can make products and sell them during her spare time. So doing 3 businesses, she was able to raise her 2 children who are now adults and working. And she also built her own house, and now she's kind of being a leader and helping other women to stand on her own feet. So we heard many stories like that. So children, from my experience when I saw, they learned about the system, and they actually went out and in action did excellent service, and they also had fun. They made really good friends, and they were bonded so well. When we were leaving from the Delhi airport, we were going off to our different places. These children are all high school, US high school boys coming from different Bihars. So we had some connecting flights in common, like France, London, and they were like, Mommy, there's 5 minutes, can I just go meet them one more time? So we had to find their gate, and so that's how bonded they became. So learning, doing service, making new friends, and having fun, I can't think of a better package than this, where you can get everything in one trip. So I highly encourage parents of high schoolers and younger children, parents, when your child gets to high school. They do it every summer and winter generally, winter breaks. So it happens during the breaks, so I'll consider you guys to send your children to those trips. And I'll let the boys speak about what they did.
Very sacred place. It's where Gurudev's Mahasamadhi and ashram is. So this is a timeline of our trip. Like, it was packed. We had an activity every day. And then in the middle of our visit, there's one sightseeing day where we had like a break where we could like take some rest and explore the city. So on the first day, we went to the main core center and met the national director, Dr. Didi, who is an award winner of the Padma Shri Award. And we also had an orientation of how the program works in India. And after that, we visited the Gurudwara, which is like a small business. It's run by the women that are part of the core program. And so we like experienced what they do on a daily basis. And then we also made learning materials for differently abled people. And then next, we learned the basics of farming by making fertilizer and insecticides. And we learned the importance of this strategy of farming. And yeah. And we also attended a Mahila Mando meeting, which is basically the meeting where like the women get together and like discuss about their problems. And then next, we practice natural farming techniques by using like cow manure and effect on yields on the long term, which means like how would this affect farming in the long term. So. And we also learned how like they organize their livestock and care for their livestock, and how like cows are like identified by tags on their ears and like some stuff that people do. And then we went to the Mahila Mando meeting, and we learned how people express their ideas, mostly women in the villages, and how they like can peacefully like express their ideas. It's called Manthan Day because Manthan means like churning of ideas,
And so we noticed how like the court is focused on like self-empowering these women instead of trying to do everything for them.
And then next we went to the local Bobby Hearts and participated in Hubbins. And we basically connected with the community and played with local Bobby Heart children who were like very curious to know what America was like.
And we also, like as a side, we also learned about like malnutrition among kids and pregnant women, as like some of them they don't eat as much and they're like severely underweight.
And then we went to a disabled person's house who was paralyzed from the waist down, and we built him a ramp so he can get down with the wheelchair. And we built that all ourselves with rocks and bricks, and we learned a new skill by building them.
So we could see like the difference between like the construction process from the U.S. and the rural areas, where like the amount of tools that they had like were a lot less, and like they didn't have the same amount of workers, so like it was a lot more like work for an individual person. This was the most like physically intensive activity we did.
And then we went to the spring sheds, so we hiked the mountains to observe how spring water works, and this is how people in the mountains get their clean water. And we also located the recharge points of the springs, and learned about how trees were planted by the government, and also recorded the pH and ppm values in the water.
So we saw like a live impact of climate change, as like the snowfall that these villages got were significantly less than before. So like that showed like how important like water conservation is for these villages. So overall, like we saw how like CORD works on a lot of different like aspects of society. Like they don't focus on one thing, they look at agriculture, they help people get educated, and also like medicinal and hygienical stuff. And we also saw how they work to empower the community to like work together and solve their own problems, instead of all just like helping a singular person do stuff without like helping them figure out how to do it themselves.
So these visits teach you stuff that you might not know, like farming and just stuff about India, like rural India in general. And you also make friends and experience you won't forget for the rest of your life. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Official service hours. If you need service hours, this is a major one. 125. Wow. So to Rishi and Pranav Jala for active participation and volunteering for CORD USA service visit to CORD Siddhabari, India in winter 2025. Number of hours spent on volunteering activities 125.